I don't know what happened, but I know I didn't lead the walk-off.
Well, I know it's all bullshit.
Right now, I'm picking LeBron James.
There's no way you can convince me he wasn't that.
And you called me an ass, and then you said you hated me and apologized for it. Now this beef's gonna go on for a long, long time.
When it comes to NBA rivalries, few have been as intense, dramatic, and long-lasting as the feud between Michael Jordan and Isiah Thomas. A rivalry that included a freeze-out, blood, walk-off, conspiracy, and oh boy, a lot of bad-mouthing. This wasn't just a competition on the basketball court, it was a clash of egos, pride, and legacies that spanned nearly 2 decades. Let's dive into the full story of how this rivalry became the most famous beef in NBA history. Ever since MJ entered the league in 1984, he was a rock star. The young, energetic high flyer in Jordan was just phenomenal, even in his rookie year. And fans literally paid bucks to watch him play for the then sorry franchise of Chicago. And well, let's just say some veterans in the league did not appreciate that. The story starts back in 1985 during the NBA All-Star Game. Michael Jordan, fresh off his rookie year, was the hot new star everyone was talking about. Fans loved his exciting style of play, and he was ready to make his mark among the league's elite players. Headlines stated the same thing. How good will MJ perform? But something strange happened during that game. Jordan, despite being the fan favorite, hardly touched the ball. It seemed like the other players, especially the veterans, were purposely ignoring him. The rumor mill quickly started buzzing with talk that Isiah Thomas, already an established star and leader on the court, had orchestrated what came to be known as the freeze-out. The idea was that Thomas and a few other players wanted to teach the young rookie a lesson, showing him that he still had a lot to learn before he could take the spotlight. Whether or not this was true, Jordan took it personally. He felt disrespected and embarrassed, and it didn't take long for a deep-seated grudge to form. This was the beginning of a rivalry that would only grow more intense over the years. As the years passed, Jordan's Chicago Bulls and Thomas's Detroit Pistons found themselves facing off more and more often. By the late 1980s, the Bulls were becoming a force to be reckoned with, largely thanks to Jordan's incredible scoring ability. Jordan was already coming off historic seasons, averaging near 40, and even winning Defensive Player of the Year and League's Most Valuable Player. It was the Jordan Show, and it was apparent that he was going to take over the league very soon. But the Pistons, known as the Bad Boys for their tough physical style of play, had other plans. They won't let the young Jordan be the king of the Eastern Conference easily. To keep Jordan in check, the Pistons developed a game plan known as the Jordan Rules. It was simple but brutal. Whenever Jordan got the ball, they would double or even triple team him, hit him hard, and try to wear him down. The idea was to make him so frustrated and physically exhausted that he couldn't play his best game. And for a few years, it worked. The Pistons knocked the Bulls out of the playoffs in 1988, 1989, and 1990. Each time, the series was brutal, with Jordan taking a beating game after game. The rivalry between Jordan and Thomas only got worse during these years. For Jordan, Thomas wasn't just an opponent. He was the one person standing in the way of his dreams of winning an NBA championship. And it's true. Media was talking about how MJ's play style was hindering him from winning his ring, that his flashy style was not championship basketball. But if there's one thing everyone knows about Michael Jordan, it's that he doesn't back down from a challenge. By 1991, Jordan had had enough of being bullied by the Pistons. He spent the offseason working on his strength, determined to be able to handle the physical play that had given him so much trouble in the past. When the Bulls faced the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals that year, it was clear from the start that this time would be different. Jordan was unstoppable, and the Bulls played as a unified team. They swept the Pistons in 4 straight games, a decisive victory that sent a clear message. The Bulls were the new kings of the East.
And then called us undeserving champions. Now, we done beat the Lakers, we done beat the Celtics, we done beat y'all several times. Ain't nobody had a harder march to the NBA Finals than the Detroit Pistons. We done got cheated. We done got beat up. We have beaten the best of the best to ever play this game.
But what happened after that final game is what really cemented the bad blood between Jordan and Thomas. Instead of congratulating the Bulls and shaking hands, as is customary after a series, Thomas and the rest of the Pistons walked off the court without acknowledging their opponents. It was a clear sign of disrespect, and Jordan took it personally. In his mind, this confirmed everything he thought about Thomas, that he was unsportsmanlike and couldn't handle losing.
I didn't lead the walk-off. There were several people in front of you. I don't know what happened, but I know I didn't lead the walk-off. If I'd have known that it would have caused this much stir, then we would have shook hands.
Just when you thought the rivalry couldn't get any worse, the 1992 Barcelona Olympics rolled around. The United States was putting together what would become known as the Dream Team, the greatest collection of basketball talent ever assembled. Everyone expected that Isiah Thomas would be a part of this historic team. After all, he was one of the best point guards in the league, and his resume backs it up. A two-time champion and a phenomenal court general. But when the roster was announced, Thomas's name was shockingly absent. Instead, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird and other NBA legends filled the spots. Rumors quickly spread that Jordan had played a role in keeping Isiah Thomas off the team. Jordan himself never openly admitted to this, but the whispers persisted that he had made it clear he wouldn't play if Thomas was included. Well, at that point, you would rather have Michael Jordan, the global superstar, rather than Isiah. But to be fair, it wasn't just MJ. Both Bird and Magic had a sour relationship with Isiah, and the USA basketball team management feared that Zeke would ruin the team's chemistry. For Thomas, this was a devastating blow. Now, not only had Jordan beaten him on the court, but now he seemed to be pulling strings behind the scenes to keep him from joining one of the most prestigious teams in basketball history. The snub from the Dream Team only added more fuel to the already raging fire between the two stars. In 1993, Isiah Thomas's career came to an end after he suffered a torn Achilles tendon. He retired from the NBA, and with him out of the picture, the rivalry seemed to cool off. Jordan, on the other hand, was at the peak of his career, winning his third straight NBA championship and solidifying his status as the greatest player of all time. For a while, it seemed like the beef between Jordan and Thomas might finally be over. But as anyone who knows Michael Jordan will tell you, he never forgets, and he certainly doesn't let go of grudges easily. Fast forward to 2004. Jordan, now retired and enjoying his life as a global icon, sat down for an interview with Cigar Aficionado magazine. During the interview, the topic of Isiah Thomas came up, and Jordan didn't hold back. He said Isiah was from Chicago, and he wanted to come back and show he still dominated Chicago. I was the new guy in Chicago, and people were supporting the team. It became a dogfight between us. There was some real hatred there. Jordan's comments reignited the old feud, bringing it back into the public eye. Brad Sellers, a former teammate of Jordan's, echoed his statements, saying, but the bigger issue was that Isiah was from Chicago. He worked to be one of the top players to represent that city, and Mike came in and eviscerated that. And it made sense. Isiah Thomas wanted to play for his hometown, Chicago, before getting drafted by the Pistons. He wanted to be the hometown hero. Instead, Michael took that role and became a Chicago legend forever. More loved than Isiah would ever be in Chicago. It was clear that even years later, the rivalry between Jordan and Thomas still lingered, with neither side willing to back down. In 2020, ESPN released The Last Dance, a documentary series that chronicled Michael Jordan's final season with the Chicago Bulls. The series was a massive hit, giving fans a behind-the-scenes look at Jordan's career and the Bulls' dynasty. But it also brought the old rivalry with Isiah Thomas back into the spotlight. In one episode, Jordan didn't hold back his feelings about Thomas, calling him an asshole for the way he and the Pistons walked off the court after losing in 1991. Jordan's harsh words made it clear that even after all these years, he hadn't forgiven or forgotten. Thomas, for his part, wasn't about to let that slide. He responded in interviews, saying that Jordan should apologize for calling him an asshole and defended his actions, pointing out that Jordan hadn't exactly been gracious in defeat previous years either. The Last Dance didn't just remind everyone of the Jordan-Thomas rivalry, it reignited it. Fans and analysts alike revisited the old beef, debating who was in the right and whether the animosity was justified. The documentary showed that even though both men were long retired, their rivalry was still very much alive. So, what's the legacy of this legendary feud? For Michael Jordan, the rivalry with Isiah Thomas was more than just a battle on the court. It was a personal challenge that pushed him to be even better. It fueled his desire to win and cemented his place as the greatest player in NBA history. For Isiah Thomas, the rivalry with Jordan is a significant part of his career, though not always in a positive way. While Thomas was one of the few players who could consistently challenge Jordan, the beef between them has often overshadowed his own accomplishments. Many fans remember Thomas not just for his incredible skills on the court, but also for his role in this epic feud. Over the years, Thomas has given Jordan his due, acknowledging his greatness and what he meant to the game. However, he has also made it clear that, in his opinion, LeBron James, not Jordan, is the greatest of all time.
Right now, I'm picking LeBron James.
This has only added fuel to the fire, as fans continue to debate the legacy of both players. In the end, the rivalry between Michael Jordan and Isiah Thomas is more than just a story of two players who didn't like each other. It's a story of competition, pride, and the relentless pursuit of greatness. It's about how two of the best players in NBA history pushed each other to their limits, creating some of the most unforgettable moments in the sport. The beef between Jordan and Thomas may never truly be resolved, and maybe that's okay. Rivalries like this one add color and drama to the game, giving fans something to talk about long after the final buzzer has sounded. It's a beef that even transcended the hands of time. The greatest beef in NBA history. Now it's your turn to share your thoughts. Whose side are you on? And what are the other greatest beef in NBA history? Leave your comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching.